So with all of the chaos surrounding the whole, the whole fiasco, the tart cherry juice fiasco, including, as I've already said, where the replacement cherry juices, where they at least sent me out 6, even though the only 3 were damaged. Remember, in the one heavy box, there were 3 packaged identical to the other 3. I ordered 6 total, okay? They replaced all 6, even though only 3 wound up broken. But again, they sent me out the replacements in almost identical packaging, thus proving it's their policy to ship glass that way. And again, let me reiterate, they used to use bubble wrap. They stopped using bubble wrap. Vitacost stopped using bubble wrap, I assume, to be environmentally conscious. I can't think of any other reason they stopped using bubble wrap, but I'm sorry, bamboo paper and tissue paper don't protect like bubble wrap. Bubble wrap's kind of foolproof. Bamboo paper and tissue paper, not so much, but whatever. Then they messed up my replacement order because when I was doing the regular replacements of the damaged box, I also told Austin, the Vitacost manager, about the other stuff, which is in another box. The only problem was 2 mangled teas, boxes of teas. It's okay if they're a little bit, but this was actually opened. And at the time, I didn't realize technically the teas inside weren't damaged, but I don't care. I don't want you sending me mangled boxes, crushed boxes, okay? If I complain enough, maybe it'll stop. Alright, so that was 2 teas. They were chamomile and lavender, whatever they were. But the teas that got all wet in the damaged box were different. And I don't know if Austin fucked up or more likely the packer fucked up. And instead of giving me the ginger and the whatever in the damaged box, I was sent 4 of the identical instead of the 2 that were damaged in a separate packaging, but that was the only thing that was damaged, see? So to add insult to injury, my replacement order was incorrect, and I told Austin about it several days ago, and they haven't even sent me out those teas, and I don't know if they're gonna, okay? Now, I just sent Austin an email today, and I'm like, when I had a problem with Lowe's, and that problem was comparable, it was a huge provable problem, and it was comparable to, the problem I recently had with Vitacost, where not only was that whole damaged box, but remember, cherry juice all over the other boxes in the 4-box order, okay? 2 of the other boxes were covered all on the outside with cherry juice, because it all leaked through the culprit box. So it's a big fucking ridiculous mess, and what's-the-face thought I should have my whole order replaced, alright? Never mind just the damaged box that I kindly said you don't have to because I'm like that if stuff wasn't damaged. Like these came in that box too, and they're very expensive, but they weren't put in loose like the box of tea where it got all wet. They were put in a plastic bag, so they weren't damaged at all. And he was going to replace the entire box, and I said, no, it's all right, you don't have to. They weren't damaged because, again, that's just how I am. But I'm going to be really pissed if they don't send me those teas that they fucked up on. And again, Lowe's, when I had that problem, sent me a $125 gift certificate, okay? Juxtapose that with, Vitacost sent me the 6 cherry juice bottles, and even only 3 were damaged. And then the conditioner that came with the pump thing that I told them about in another box, separate packaging, not the damaged box, another box out of the 4. The pump bottle broke, and of course I'm still going to use the conditioner, but it's annoying in that they apparently, that henna and biotin, whatever, they, my henna shampoo, because they didn't used to have the pump top bottles. I guess they're going to get away from using the non-pump top bottles, but they still had ones that, they still had old ones that didn't have the pump top bottles, and they sent me 2 of those. Alright? But sending me that, is hardly comparable to like Lowe's giving me, Lowe's delivery company, some of you know that story, giving me a $125 gift certificate, okay? So, I'm going to be livid if Vitacost doesn't send me out those 2 replacement teas that they fucked up on my replacement order, okay? Because then it's just, you know what I mean? They should just do it. It's just 2 fucking teas, and I'm a good customer, and don't piss me off. You haven't really rewarded me much for my time and aggravation. Again, $125 gift certificate from Lowe's, which, by the way, I never opened, but I found And originally I was told 100, I was going to get sent 100, but remember, that was before I wound up having the next problem that got worse, where I was promised by the delivery company manager, I will not send you those same people, don't worry, they're going to be sent elsewhere, blah, 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 and I wound up getting the same people. Oh, was I livid at that, and returning the friggin' dryer. Oh. I put a dent in that back room. 3.5 hours of tedious just putting all the papers that are on the floor into boxes. That's first step. Remember I told you in another video, first step is to simply get everything into boxes, okay? Next step is to separate my mom's shit from my shit. And again, we both have tons of papers, lots of papers. She has, like, from years and years before I was even living here, all this credit card offers that are just bullshit, that you throw away, that, you know, and I guess she saved them all because she was going to shred them, and I fuck shredding them. I'm not worried about stuff from 15 years ago being shredded, seriously. It's one thing if it's recent. It takes too long to fucking shred it. I go through the motions of ripping the stuff up and put it in the garbage, you know, not fucking shredding the shit. Lord only knows if the shredder even works. She never used it, okay? But you see why I'm pissed? It's like, you send my order out immediately, even though I would have rathered you not, because I didn't need it. What I needed was to know you talked to the packing manager, and apparently, you know, that didn't happen. The order went out. I talked to that went out the next Saturday. Came fast. Again, I didn't need it. I already had the 3 cherry juices. I wanted to know that it was addressed, and it wasn't, and it doesn't matter anyway that they arrived, as I told you, Card, if you're watching this, in the same fucking manner, similar, almost identical manner. And the packer fucked up my replacements, where she was supposed to send me 2 of, say, chamomile, and then 2 of the Tulsi ginger whatever that were in the damaged box that got soaked, okay, and instead she sent me 4 of these kind. I'm like, God, you'd think you'd be extra, super meticulously careful with my replacement order, all things considered, but no. Add insult to injury. Anyway, I'm taking a shower. Last time I took a shower, I thankfully am admittedly anal. Like, I'm, you know, above and beyond, whatever you want to call it. You can call it anal, you can call it whatever, but luckily I am, because I didn't just, I had actually left the keys in the door, so I'm glad that I'm like that, where I double check and make sure before I take a shower or anything, go to bed, or, you know. And can you imagine, after all this fucking shit, with replacements being in all this crap, I haven't actually gone through my order yet. Can you imagine if I go through my order and I'm missing stuff? I probably won't be believed, you know. I'll be so livid if I go through my order, and again, it takes a long time, it's a big order, and I find out I'm missing stuff. So I'm hoping that's not the case, because I haven't had the time to go through the order, you know. I was taking care of all this other bullshit. Anyway, I don't think I've ever worn these shoes in a video. They're shoes I bought when I was with Joe, because he didn't like me to be in sneakers. They're nice enough, they're just not really the type of shoes that I wear. Possibly because I'm afraid my foot will slip out of them, and maybe that's ridiculous, but... Loads of weird shit going on in the world, including a baggage person at an airport stealing an airplane. He wasn't a pilot. He learned how to fly via video game simulation stuff and YouTube and whatnot, and he was on a suicide mission. He was married. I don't know if he had a kid or not, but he was married, and he went on a suicide mission. He did all flips and this, that, or whatever. He knew how to fly. He did not know how to land, and he crashed and burned. And then a couple days later, another person stole a jet. He was actually a pilot, but he stole his employer's jet or something or other and crashed it into his family's house because he had recently been arrested for domestic violence charges. They lived, thank God, but he died in the crash. I don't know. That thing with that baggage person, they're not expecting that. You have clearance to be on, they're not expecting something like that. It raises some issues. And then I think Omarosa is a joke. Because I saw her on the TV, you know, prior to being fired, she was like singing the praises of Trump, and then she gets fired and suddenly he's the scum of the earth, you know. I don't see how anyone's going to, you know, find her credible when she went such an about face like that, you know. But whatever. I would never ever read her stupid book. Oh. I already see that, you know, say what you will, you know, you can say what you will about Trump, but tell the truth. I think Omarosa is just bitter over being fired, and, you know, and then she taped recordings of being fired, which she wasn't supposed to bring that, any kind of recording device into the Situation Room in the White House, and it's just fucked up. They're reversing that stand your ground thing in Florida. I stand by my assertion that you can't go around shoving people, that could have turned out that that guy, you know, shoved that guy away who was simply, you know, confronting the woman in the car, but he wasn't threatening or anything, but whatever, and he could have got killed. So, on the one hand, I would support the stand your ground thing in that instance, but on the other hand, as I've told you from day one, I agree that he didn't actually have to kill him at that point, you know. So who knows what's going to happen with that. But I do stand by my assertion, it is, you know, it could have turned out differently where the guy who was shoved was killed or seriously injured, okay? It could have been because there's a recent thing with sad, involving actually a high profile, like a assistant coach to a major baseball league or something, that this guy didn't have his cell phone had died or something. He's coming out probably after a bar, and he's looking for his Uber driver, so he's tapping on windows. The asshole in the car, again, high-profile assistant, whatever, gets out of his car, violently punches the guy in the face. The guy falls backwards, smashes his head, and he's dead, okay? And at first, that guy in the car was charged with assault. And of course his lawyers say, no, it was a terrible accident. And the family's like, bullshit. If he had stayed on the scene and to see if our son was okay, no. No, he didn't. He didn't stay on the scene. Now he's apologizing or whatnot. First it was labeled assault, but now it's not. Now it's been labeled a homicide. Good. Again, all the guy did, he tapped on your car window, and you get out and you violently punch him in the face, and he falls backwards, stumbles backwards, smashes his head and dies. So I can go to that thing in Florida, okay? Yeah, that guy on the ground didn't have to shoot that guy who violently shoved him, but the guy who violently shoved him, it could have turned out differently, where you can't go around violently shoving people. That guy could have been killed from this one violently shoving him. Instead of this one being dead, he could have been charged with murder, because you can't violently shove somebody just because they're arguing with your girlfriend, and from, you know what I mean? From a standing point while she's in a car. You can't go around doing that. That could have ended deadly on the other end. So, we'll see what happens. It's been reversed anyway. And the sheriff said he supports this, the DA or whatever, reversing it, saying it wasn't an instance of stand your ground. But we'll see. I don't really care either way. Like I said, I recognize the fact that stand your ground is controversial, but I also recognize the fact that you can't go around violently shoving people, and it could have ended differently, where the guy who pulled the gun on the ground could have been the one dead. And then instead of the other way around. I do recognize that. And you see numerous things. I told you what happened in Boston. That girl, they say she was shoved. People get shoved violently and smash their heads, okay? It's not a joke to shove somebody. And in this instance, this high-profile assistant coach to whatever, okay? He got out of his car. All the guy did is tap on his car, okay? he got out of his car and violently punched the guy in the face. The guy stumbled backwards, smashed his head, and died. Okay? And the coroner is saying it was homicide. He died from blunt trauma to the head. So it's not a joke to shove somebody. And that thing in Florida could have ended differently with the person who was shoved winding up dead or seriously injured, rather than the shover being blown away by, by the person on the ground. So that's how I look at things. You understand? It's not a black and white issue. It's not whatever. But you have to take everything into account. You have to take everything into account. You can't go around violently shoving people. All right? And in this instance, with that assistant coach to like a major, I guess he's high profile, and he wasn't threatened. The guy tapped on his window. He was looking for his Uber driver. He got out and he fucking punched him violently in the face. Like his parents, his grieving parents, who had watched him in a coma and then he succumbed to it and died, are saying, like, this guy's on the basketball or the whatever. Maybe it's basketball, whatever. He's like, if he was on the basketball thing and he accidentally hurt somebody, that's one thing. But if he decides to just intentionally punch him in the face, it's assault. And in this instance, the guy is dead. Okay, from being punched in the face, he went backwards, smashed his head, and he's dead. And his grieving parents want justice, and they deserve justice, okay? In this instance, the assistant coach to the basketball team or baseball team, or whatever, whatever it is, black, and the guy tapping on his window was white. But if it had been the other way around, I would still be as angry. I would still be saying the same fucking thing, okay? And I would feel exactly the same. Be no different in my eyes. Okay? And I'll end with this. Apparently there's some white brat. She was 33 years old and, in my opinion anyway, very attractive, beautiful, whatever. She was a real estate agent. And it's hysterical because she was stopped for speeding by a cop. And you get to hear the recording. It's all taped. She's like, please, I can't go. I'm a pretty girl. I can't go to jail. I graduated with a 3.8, almost valedictorian in a good school, and I'm a thoroughbred white girl and all this crap. And the cop's like, what does that have to do with anything? And in the end, she was charged with driving under the influence. She claimed she had only 2 glasses of wine, but the way she was talking, I think she probably had more than that. And she lost her real estate job. And people across, it's gone by. I mean, people across the country are just viewing it as, like an entitlement. Like she's like an example of a bratty, someone having bratty entitlement, thinking that they're above whatever, It's funny listening to her though. If any of you have heard it, she's like, please, officer, I'm a pretty girl, I can't go to jail, I can't this. And the officer says later, he's like, that only confirmed my suspicion that she was under the influence, the way she was talking and begging, and she sounds really intoxicated to me. She doesn't sound like 2 glasses of wine, let's just put it that way, okay? And she lost her job, and we'll probably hear her going on just like and apologizing at some future, and but no one's going to buy it. So, because clearly that is her attitude, and she thinks that she shouldn't have to, be arrested for drunk driving. She was under the influence and went through a stop sign, and the cop stopped her, and she tried to get him to let her go. And her reasoning was she's a pretty white thoroughbred girl who comes from a good school and graduated near to valedictorian with a 3.8 and went to a good college, you know what I mean? All stuff that the officer's like, yeah, so it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to you speeding and endangering, the public and go through a stop sign and drive them all under the influence, bitch, She'll have to live that down. It's fun to listen to her though, because you usually don't get to hear shit like that. The last time we heard shit like that, remember, was that also, she was a doctor, you know, in a prestigious profession, more prestigious, I guess, than a real estate agent, and how she was saying all this crap to that Uber driver that time, you know. She had to live that down. And she was clearly, totally, like, blitzed. And then Bethany Frankel, her boyfriend, died of an overdose. You don't know if it's intentional because you never know. Whenever they say, okay, someone high profile, he died of an overdose, drug overdose, but sometimes they don't even know if a drug overdose, whether or not it's intentional. No. Whereas that baggage person was bored with his job, apparently bored with his life. Well, while he's up flying and doing somersaults and all of that, he's like, yeah, I guess I have a few screws loose, I'm kind of messed up and whatnot, and then he went to a fiery crash and his family have to deal with it, you know. So, these are all off the top of my head, but there are things that I want to do closed caption and share exact details with you. Now I'm going to take a shower. This will be one of those rare, for me, videos where I don't have to age restrict it. I found out from Comcast, and then they gave me the number for HBO, and it was confirmed, because Comcast wasn't sure if maybe you could find it elsewhere. Yep, HBO recently made the decision on June 29th to get rid of all its adult programming, you know? I'm like, why did you do that after all these years? And they like to make way for other things. Yeah, that sucks. I'm not keeping HBO anyway. My mom's almost done with True Blood, and I'm getting rid of HBO. Maybe I would have kept it longer while I was busy watching those sex on documentaries. You know, they're really, really interesting, as I was telling this woman, you know. I said, I really like those. Do you think I could find them anywhere else? Do you guys know of elsewhere I could find those things? They're documentaries, and they're similar to the real sex from the 90s, but they're also different because they include the internet age, and they were really, really interesting, and they include the cyber dating and the, you know, all that kind of crap, and I didn't get to watch them, and now they're gone. I was just wondering if you guys know if I can find them elsewhere. At Comcast, they thought, well, maybe they're still offering. I had just thought, oh, HBO got rid of its adult programming and lets you pay more money. No. They got rid of the on-demand, the adult programming on June 29th, so very, very recently, after having it for a very, very long time. And I'm just curious if you can find it anywhere at all. Probably not. Probably not. Again, these ones are way more recent, I think. They have to be because the internet age is recent, and it has all the cyber things and whatnot. The sex, I think it's called Sex On or something. But they were, of course, are going to be different than the real sex, similar but different to, you know, to represent our internet age, our current reality. So it's drastically different from the 90s when real sex came out. But when I was watching the real sex, it still had relevance. You know, it still had relevance, even though, you know, some people in it might not even be around now, or, you know. But anyway, let me cry a river. My adult program for HBO is gone, and I was going to try to binge watch those things before I got rid of HBO that I pay $15 a month for, and I got it just to watch True Blood, and my mom's nearly done with True Blood, and I was already done a month ago, so HBO is hitting the dust. I'm not keeping it. I have no reason to keep it, no desire to keep it, particularly with my adult programming going, you know, being gone. It was disappointing, though, because I wanted to watch those documentaries. You know, those, I forget what they're even called, but you could look them up. It's something like I said, Sex On or Sex Now or something or other. And they were interesting. And I only watched a couple of them. Pretty much thinking, oh, well, I can watch them when I feel like it. Nope. Surprise, surprise, Laura. They're gone. HBO made an executive decision to completely get rid of its adult programming that it had for a very, very long time. And the reason apparently is to make way for other programs. That's that. I need to take a shower. Yeah, 3.5 nonstop hours simply just easy, you know, just, I found some stuff too. I found some scrunchies from my mom. I found a whole thing of body wash that she uses, had her name on it, so it had to have been something she had in the mental hospital. One of the many sad occasions she was sectioned into these places against her will in a short amount of time. Not that many years or whatnot. What else did I find? I don't know. I found different things. Again, first step was simply, but 3.5 hours, I made a huge dent in it. Simply getting everything into boxes, opened boxes, of course, not sealing them up because that's just first step. Next step is separating the papers simply from, is it your mom's? Is your mom's name on it? Or is it yours? Is your name on it? You know, will be the next step. Because everything's all mixed up. And I actually have to call my primary care physician's office and say, you know, I don't know how I did it, but don't even ask because somehow I misplaced the stuff you gave me, the referrals my primary care physician gave me for different things. I misplaced it all. I can't find it. What do we do now? I don't know how that happened. I thought I had it separate in something, and somehow, you know, again, because there's so much stuff, and when I've had to clean stuff up and make the rooms completely unsafe for Omar, something happened where those papers just, you know, things happened. They went MIA, and I actually found I found my discharge papers, or whatever you call them. I found that, but I didn't find the referrals. Uh-oh. What the fuck happened to them? I've been busy with my mom lately and whatnot, so I had, you know, a few Inside Editions and World News Tonights to watch. As usual, some interesting shit, including this guy who was at a dog park and allowed dogs to lick him, and he ultimately contracted it's a very, very rare thing to happen, but it can happen. You know, there were only 12 cases, I guess, in the United States last year, whatever. It can happen, and he lost all his limbs, both his limbs, legs and arms, and his nose. He contracted this thing that's found in dog saliva, but it's not generally deadly to humans. It's very, 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 very rare. But I did tell my mom about it because I don't like her having Omar lick her face anyway, and I said, Mom, you know, I had her watching. I'm like, and you know, even a vet was like, I have dogs lick me all the time. The chances of this happening are 1 in a million. Blah, blah, blah. I know, but I said to my mom, I'm like, you know, it could happen. It sure as fuck won't happen to me because I don't let any dogs. You know what I mean? So. Anyway. Yeah, he did what we've all done, like they said. It wasn't his. They ruled out his own dog because his dog is, I guess, a pit bull, but she doesn't lick. That dog doesn't lick. They said they ruled out his dog as the culprit, or I mean not culprit, but just the source or whatever, because it's not the dog's fault. But it was dogs at a dog park that did what a lot of people, you know. Actually, I think his dog is very exuberant and may have, you know, probably has licked my hand or whatever before I even realized what was happening. So that's what happened with this. But he lost his limbs. He's very chipper, though. He's grateful to be alive, and it's just his family's trying to be strong for him, you know, but it's very sad because it's so innocent, you know, like sometimes you can pet a strange dog and they lick you before you even realize it. I've had that happen to me. So, but yeah, apparently dog saliva. It's very prevalent, this particular bacteria in dog saliva. It's not generally deadly to humans. This was a very, very rare thing. And tragic, you know, just like anything. I need to take a shower, so I will talk to you guys later. Bye.